Brian Kelly of Notre Dame football here on the Rich Eisen Show. Coach, how are you?
I'm doing great. So you're the guy behind eliminating kickoffs in college football.
No, that's not me. I like the kickoffs,
you're
but
still living with the Rocket Ishmael kickoff return. I thought maybe it was you.
I don't think I have that power.
Well, look, I went as far as to get the Michigan game back on just so I could get on your show. That's how difficult
what I was about to say,
get booked on this show.
We collectively, Coach, have the power to schedule teams. You said, we're talking about it. I said, well, is it possible? You say, yeah, maybe. We're kind of talking about it. Then the last time you're like, we're talking about it. And then, look, boom, it happened. We're back.
Michigan, Notre Dame. I mean, it's good for college football. I mean, I almost felt, and I know Jim felt the same way, almost an obligation to get this done for college football. Not only is it a great rivalry, from a regional standpoint, but nationally, it's significant. And college football is a week-to-week season, and this means a lot. And we're glad we got it back together.
So now, how'd you get us in your house first, though? How did that happen, Coach? What happened there? Couldn't we? There's no chance of flipping that?
There's so much complexity in scheduling. As you know, Michigan had to do a lot of things to kind of free themselves up. We had to do a number of things. It was just a matter of what worked better in terms of getting it on the schedule. So we're just happy we got it together. I think that it'll even itself out. But again, I think the most important thing is we get the teams playing together and again, that's the most important thing from my perspective.
I mean, I only bring that up just figuring that I might have a little bit of influence through you, since it, because Michigan has to be at Ohio State and Michigan State the year that they're now at U2. That's three. That's a gauntlet on the road. I just wish we didn't have to do.
It is, but our press box is much larger, so we have room for you.
Okay. If I request a certain food or a certain temperature that I like my peanut M&Ms, can you lay it all out there for me?
Look, if I can get back on the show again sometime in the next 2-3 years, we'll work it out.
I love it. But in all seriousness, though, did you reach out to Harbaugh, him reach out to you, or you ever in a room together at some point and just say, maybe we should do this, or
no?
How?
This was mutual. This was both of us wanting to get the game together, and it required us to really talk on the phone a number of times to make it work. Getting not only both coaches on board, because we had to make some adjustments in our schedule. Our athletic directors had to get together, and look, there's a number of schools that really saw this as a game that they moved out of the way, their schedule, to see that we got it on ours too. So a lot had to happen, and it wasn't just Notre Dame and Michigan. There were other schools that had to bend to make it happen as well.
So is there what's your take on the Harbaugh satellite camp issue that seems to be a hot button subject amongst a lot of your colleagues in college football?
Well, everybody's got a business plan that works for them, and Jim is a guy that loves to get out there and be around the different venues across the country, and it works for him. And it's not necessarily what we do. We prefer to get him on our campus. We have a more unique situation in a small setting, a small campus, where I've got to get him here. But Jim's done a great job with it, and he's gotten great feedback and gotten a chance to recruit across the country. But I think it's really, I don't think it's for everybody. I think you have to evaluate what works best for your school and your institution. But I give Jim credit; it's worked well for him, and he's been able to build on it in a recruiting standpoint.
All right, let's talk about you and your program right now. The Brian Kelly of Notre Dame. Who's your quarterback as it currently stands right now?
Well, we haven't named one yet.
Yes, that's why I asked.
Yeah, we've got two of them. Deshaun Kaiser and Malik Zaire are both capable. Look, I mean, I'd like to say that one of them is going to win the Heisman this year, and we're going to play one the whole year. The reality of it is that you generally play two, and you're going to need two quarterbacks. So if things go the way they normally do in college football, you got to have two quarterbacks, and we're very lucky and very fortunate. We got two very talented ones. We'll let them continue to compete, but my sense is that at some time in the season we're going to need to call on both of them.
Now, I'm just looking at your schedule here. You got Texas, Michigan State, Stanford, Miami, Virginia Tech, USC. Do you sometimes look at some other teams' schedules and wish that they were as tough as yours when you know you're going to be?
we've got to
compared?
stand up without a 13th game. So our 12 has got to match up against 13. And so when you talk about those teams that are playing, a conference championship game, there's usually a 1AA school in there. So we think our 12 will match up against anybody that plays 13. And so it's got to be a rigorous schedule. It's got to be one that, at the end of the day, the committee says that, look, Notre Dame is played a rigorous schedule from September all the way through to December, and that's the reality of being an independent, and that's what we'll have to continue to do.
Yeah, but you hear some other coaches talk about their schedule and how tough it is, and they play a conference schedule with a couple of powder puffs at the top of it, and then they start talking about how they deserve a spot over you. That happens almost every year, Coach.
Yeah,
right?
But I'm confident enough that the committee has sorted that out, and they have figured out that those teams that have warranted the kind of recognition in their schedule. And I put a lot of trust and faith in that committee that they have objectively looked at the schedules, and they're not listening to the rhetoric of a coach that's trying to, put his schedule in front of somebody else's. So I trust that the committee has got it together relative to evaluating who's playing who and at what time during the season.
Or you could just join the Big Ten already. I mean, come on in. The water's fine, Coach.
There's an option.
What do you think?
Yeah, right. Those are always options. But again, I think if you look at what we've been able to do relative to our independent status and putting together a schedule with the ACC too. We've got a mandated schedule there. It's worked out well for us. Our other teams in the conference have done very well. I think we're in a pretty good position.
So there's never any discussion at all about joining a conference?
No, I think there's always leaving those options available. I don't think that Notre Dame and Jack Swarbrick, our athletic director, I don't think he's ever closed the discussions. I think you have to be nimble in this day and age as it relates to conferences and things of that nature. But we think we're in a really good position today. But I think we're able to address any changes that occur in really a split second. But we're in a pretty good position right now.
Brian Kelly, Notre Dame, joining me here on the Rich Eisen Show. Corey Robinson, the Admiral's son, decided to give up football due to multiple concussions. What were your conversations, if you don't mind sharing anything with us, with the Admiral's son, who's still with the program?
Yeah.
Coach.
Well, Corey's a tremendous kid. He's the entire student body president for the university. He's a great student. He's got a lot of things going for him. And I think the most important thing that I wanted him to relay is that, first of all, we were going to give him access to the best specialist in the country relative to his concussions. And we were able to get that to him and all the information that, effectively he was cleared to play if he wanted to play. But he chose not to, and I respect the decision that he made. He gave it great thought and consideration, and he's going to continue to help out with a lot of the young receivers that we have. He's a great kid, and he'll be able to be an asset. But I think it's so individual when it comes to, obviously you're seeing it even in the NFL, guys that are, leaving the game early. I think it's really up to the individual to be able to make that decision as to, what's best for them. And for Corey, what was best for him is that he decided that he did not want to play in his last year, but he's going to stay active with the football program. We're happy for that.
Well, the conversation you hear a lot about with the players that you referred to in the NFL is that you're going to see more and more at the collegiate level, kids making decisions like that at the collegiate level. It's going to just get younger and younger. Do you see, when you're on a recruiting trail, or hearing more in the high school level even of people more and more concerned about the health and safety issues of this game, Coach?
No, I don't. But I know that what's really important is, protecting our players and making sure that, whether it be in concussion protocols or making sure that we're we're doing the things necessary to protect our players and adding more science and more research and really protecting our players from not only from injury but from the post injury standpoint, and making sure that they're getting the right counseling and treatment across the board. And I think that that's the most important thing for us, and having that for the student athletes so they can know what's going on with their body after an injury. And I think I think that's where it's changed more than anything else. I don't think that there's a fear as much as just more information for the kids so they can make intelligent decisions.
Well, thanks for the call, Coach. Appreciate you joining the show. And like I told you, Michigan and Notre Dame every year. It is awesome. Way to go! I'm glad.
Stuff.
I'm glad you did that. And I know there's 2018 is the first year that's going to happen. So we have 2 years from my legal staff to send my rider over to you for all that I require when I show up in that press box, okay?
We'll make sure that we get the car service up there in
Thank
time,
you.
and we'll make sure the press box is amply put to the temperature for those M&Ms.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that, Coach. You've always been kind to me in that regard, so thanks.
Take care, guys.
You got
Good
it.
having you.
You got it. Same. That's Brian Kelly, Notre Dame.
The Rich Eisen Show, weekdays at noon Eastern on Audience.